before God. So remember, in the first dispensation of innocence, there are uh, there are five things happen. The dispensation, God's command were to Adam and Eve. First, to replenish the earth with children. So number two, to subdue the earth and have dominion over the animals and care for the garden. And number five, abstain from eating the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So God warned of the punishment of physical and spiritual death for disobedience. So this dispensation was short-lived, only for Adam and Eve, and was brought to an end by Adam and Eve's disobedience in eating the forbidden fruit and their expulsion from the garden. So it's only Adam and Eve were there in the garden, right? So after outside the garden, the conscience came, dispensation of conscience. So there's also a covenant that God said. It happened at least from outside the garden, it took around 1,656 years. So medyo matagal din, no? Matagal, no? From the time of Adam and Eve, eviction from the garden until to the flood. You can find that in Genesis 3:8. So this dispensation demonstrates what mankind will do if left to his own will and conscience, which have been tainted by the inherited sin nature. There are five major aspects of dispensation. Number one, remember we are now outside the garden, right? Up to now. A curse on the serpent, a change in womanhood and childbearing, and a curse to nature. And number four, the imposing of difficult works of mankind to produce food. This happened outside the garden. And the promise of Christ as the seed who will bruise the serpent's head. So there's a promise from outside the garden, right? So the human government, it begins in Genesis 8. If you're going to read the whole chapter of Genesis 8, it begins there. So God has destroyed life on earth with a flood, saving only one family to restart the human race again. So God made the following promises and commands to Noah and his family. So this is the promises even to us, not only for Noah and his family. God will not curse the earth again. Noah and the family are to replenish the earth with people. They shall have dominion over the animal creation. They are allowed to eat meat. This time you can eat meat now, see? And the law of capital punishment is established. And there never will be another worldwide flood. So the sign of God's promise will be the rainbow. So every time you see a rainbow, that's God promises. Now Noah's descendants did not scatter. They just stay in, remember after the flood, they just stay in one place and filled the earth as God had commanded them, thus failing again in their responsibility in this dispensation. So instead of spreading out all over the earth, they just stay in one place. So about 325 years after the flood, the earth's inhabitants began building a tower, a great monument to their solidarity and pride. You can find that in Genesis 11:7-9. So God brought the construction to a stop, to a halt, creating different languages. So that's how God dispersed these people. So they have different languages and enforcing His command to fill the earth. So the result was the rise of different nations and culture. So that's how we become different nationality. They spread, but if they stay in one place, the Tower of Babel, God destroyed the Tower of Babel. From that point on, human government had been a reality. So when they started spreading the different countries, that's the start of the human government. So turning to Genesis chapter 11, the whole chapter of 11, we see how quickly these people forgot God's admonition. After the flood, see, a couple of years, 325 years, they already forgot God. See? This is what mankind is like. Can we read chapter 11, verse 3 and 4? Genesis, yeah. Then, if you read this, then they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They had bricks for stone and they had spalt for mortar. 4. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the earth, the whole earth." So, even today, you might notice, different countries, they have some like a statement, they want to build a tower. Imagine before, I think CN Tower was the tallest tower in the world. Everywhere you go, there's an Eiffel Tower. It's like a monument that they would like to reach the earth, the sky. See, now in Dubai, there's the tallest building in the world, maybe taller than the CN Tower. It's always man has like to make a statement that we can live by ourselves. We can govern by ourselves. That's why they make a monument for themselves. Even in Washington, they have a tower there that points that make a statement that we are independent. So these statements are in direct disobedience to God's order. He instructed them to replenish the whole earth. Their plans were to make for themselves one city and to stay there. For their materials, they use substitutes, bricks for stone and slime for mortar. So during that time, the earth as it is today has been given to man in order that he might govern it for the glory of God. But they failed again. They failed even today. God has given instruction in His Word as to how man is to live and to be built. I wonder how many of our statement and leaders honestly wait before the Lord and seek to follow His Word. There is no doubt that modern rulers are building now with substitutes just as they did in Noah's generation. So, probably you wonder, what is in Noah's generation? What are the daily activities during that time of Noah? Probably, So, Noah was building an ark for almost 120 years. And people are laughing at him, People are making fun of him, This guy is crazy, He was building something that is, we don't know what, there is no water here, there is no sea, there is no ocean. And this guy is building something that is, we don't know what will happen. So the peoples in Noah's day were so wicked, they were wicked in the time of Noah, that God was filled with grief. God decided to destroy the world with a flood. He instructed Noah, a righteous person, to build an ark so he and his family could survive the flood. So following God's instruction, Noah built an ark with 3 decks. 1, 2, 3. If you go to where do we go? Maryland, I think we went to the Arks Encounter. Yeah, in Kentucky, you can see a replica of the Noah's Ark, exact dimension, It has 3 decks, a door, a roof, and a window. It took Noah at least 100 years to build the ark. Imagine, Noah's building an ark. He doesn't know when it will stop or when it will end, but it took him 100 years. See? So God sent 2 of the living creatures to Noah and 7 of every clean animal and bird. So God did it, God sent 2 of every living creature to Noah and 7 every clean animal and bird. When Noah was 600 years old, imagine Noah is already 600, because during that time they live longer. I think Adam was 690 plus years when he was when he lived on earth. So when Noah was 600 years old, God shut him, his family, and the animal in the ark. So it was God who shut the door. It was not Noah. It was God. Remember that, okay? Because Noah doesn't know when will he gonna stop building the ark. So it, yes, brother. Yeah. Yeah, here. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like. You can ask question, and brother Hassan will answer.
Brother Hassan will answer. My question is, before Adam and Eve sinned, do they need to work or just eat what they want without working? Can they just eat without working?
Oh, I think the God.
In dispensation 1.
Yeah.
Because,
in a sense.
maybe people are thinking, if they didn't sin, do we need to work, or we just eat what we want, no need to work, just eat what you want?
In the first dispensation, God told Adam and Eve, it's not only to eat and relax in the garden. First, to replenish the earth with children. Number 2, subdue the earth. They are inside the garden, right? They are already inside the garden. And have dominion over all the animals. So they have a purpose. They have things to do. They are not just going to eat and sleep. They have something to do. They're like a gardener. It's a paradise, You have to take care of the paradise.
So they need to work.
It's kind of...
So they need to work to eat.
No. The tree is already coming. The fruit is already coming.
How about if the fruits are finished?
Huh?
If the
No, it
fruits
will
are
not
finished.
finish because it was in the Garden of Eden. In the Garden of Eden, you don't have to plant trees because God is the one who provided the trees.
Yeah. My question is, if they didn't sin,
Yeah.
our Adam and Eve,
Yeah.
do we need to work? Do they need to work just for them to eat?
No, if Adam and Eve did not sin, we are still in the garden. We are still in the Garden of Eden,
Yeah.
right? So the fruit will still be coming. The trees will be blooming because it was God. It was God who will take care of the garden.
Okay. I have one insight. I have one insight about that. I have one insight
Yeah.
about that. Because when God put Adam and Eve in the garden,
Yeah.
there's a command in Genesis 2:15.
Yeah.
They are to tend the garden. They
After
need to take care of the garden. You have said that before. They need to take care. Because, if you don't take care of the garden, it will be
I think that's
Yeah.
after the fall, right?
So even if they didn't sin, we need to work to eat. Because even Paul, he said, if you don't work, don't eat.
Yeah, but that was outside the garden.
Yeah. Now, in our case,
I was telling you, if we
Yeah.
are not sinner during that time, we will not be looking for.
they
after
will
God.
they will still need to work in Genesis 2:15. Then the Lord took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to tend and keep it.
Yeah,
So
there's-
they need to take care of the garden.
Maybe probably that's your. But for me, tend and keep is a different thing. When you have a garden, you. Yeah, you have to keep. But you want to say something? Yeah. Yeah, you can open up if you want to say something about that. We can. Yeah.
Within the context of Kuya's question. So as I remember back when we were in Bible school, the question is valid. Like, okay, what do you want us to do with the garden? But the meaning behind this, if you dig deeper to the Hebrew, ano nga yung New Testament? I forgot. In Genesis, on the original language scripts, to till or to take stewardship is different from
Working.
being laboring
Yeah.
or laborers on this part. For you to get something, you need to labor, diba? Right, in our modern day society. But for this one, you just have to take care of it. Just make sure that you are of a good steward, that the garden won't go into destruction. It's the same way when God told Adam, of all the trees in this garden, do not touch the tree of knowledge and good and evil. It's the same idea that God is telling us to tend to become a good steward and to become more responsible, not to touch that tree of
Yeah, yeah.
garden. It doesn't mean for you to labor, for you to eat.
Yes, brother. Thank you for those statement. Okay.
Yeah, very good, Jairus. That's what I was going to mention, but I want to add a little bit to that.
Okay.
Is that it was different before the fall.
Yeah. It was different.
After the fall, as a result of the curse, they were to till the ground. It was part of the curse,
Yeah.
right? But no, I understand. Genesis 2:15 was before the fall, right? He's giving instructions to them, and Jairus just pointed out that it was to tend the garden. It was different. It wasn't to work in the garden, but it was to take care of the garden. It was to look after, to care for. It's different, the context. You have to go back to the Hebrew and the Aramaic to get the proper intended meaning. But my point is, it was different before the
And
fall.
after the flood, yeah.
After the fall, it was different because as a result of the curse, you had to, that's why God gave instructions to the man, and he also gave instructions in childbearing for the women.
Yeah.
They probably never had laboring pain in the essence of that before the fall. After the fall, of course, that was a result of the fall, right?
Yeah, thank you. That's why I try to what happened in the innocence and the conscience. So conscience is outside of the garden. The innocent is inside, is still inside. It's only Adam and Eve were there in the garden, but outside, man, the fallen nature of man now began. So that's happened. Remember what I told you? Outside, a curse on the serpent, a change in the womanhood and childbearing, a curse on the nature. So something happened even to the tree, to the earth, to the ground. Something happened because of that's already outside the garden, and the imposing of difficult work of mankind to produce food. So that's the time they work. But in the inside, it's only Adam and Eve. I don't think they work. They take care of the garden, but that's different from working to produce food. And the promise of Christ as the seed who will burst the serpent's head happen outside. That's finished now. So in the third dispensation, human government, God also had a promise. God will not curse the earth again. Noah and family are to replenish the earth with people. So they shall have dominion over the animal creation. They are allowed to eat meat. The law of capital punishment is established, and there never will be another worldwide flood. So the sign of God's promise will be a rainbow. So that's outside the garden, okay? So up to now, we are still in human government. So these statements are in direct disobedience to God's order because God instructed them to replace the earth, but they stay in one place, right? So the earth as is today has been given to man in order that man will govern it for the glory of God. So God has given instruction in His Word on us how man is to live and to be built. So the Tower of Babel was to be built to reach heaven. So that's the purpose of they make the Tower of Babel. They wanted to get above the judgment of this earth through their own works and merit. So the tower was to be built to exalt man rather than God. So man is already disobedient during that times. We are no different from today, the same thing as today. See, the United Nations was an organization started without any prayer to the Lord, United Nations, because you might offend other nation who doesn't believe in God. The question is, how much is God's considered in the conference chamber of modern nation of today? How much wisdom is out from God as a great decision are made today? So God said, except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. God's word also say, for other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Jesus Christ. So up to now we are in the human government, so we also part of the conscience, human government up to grace. Law and grace, we still there. So they overlap. Not only we separate number one, the innocence, just for Adam and Eve. So after 2 to 6, we are there. We are going to 7. We are going to the millennial kingdom of Christ. So if you read the chapter, you can see where are we. Yes? Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I have a loud phone. Outside the garden, in the Bible says that because of what Adam and Eve did, so they thrown out of the garden, and then that's why they have to work for blah blah blah. And then they have 2 kids, right? Abel
Yeah.
and
Cain.
And then I'm just wondering because before we go to the promise, the tower, Nimrod
Yeah.
did the tower and
Yeah.
began to have a language, and that's why we have a different language. So how Adam and Eve multiplied?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
How they multiplied and because Abel
Yeah,
died,
there are 2
right?
boys. No
So
girls.
They
Except.
have 2 boys.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And because of Cain
Yeah, yeah.
jealousy, he killed his brother
Abel, yeah, yeah.
So
Where did he-
how
where did
come
he get his wife?
Adam and Eve and Cain
Yeah.
left in the world out of the Garden of Eden multiplied?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Can you answer that? Okay, I think I'm going to make you a good example. Remember Adam and Eve, they did not, they live long. They live long. For example, Adam and Eve have a children, one every year. Right?
Oh, after
Ad-
Abel and
up-
Cain, they have
Yeah, they have, after Abel and Cain and Abel and Seth, they have multiple children. They have more than, I don't know, many. So their children will marry their brothers. They have a family. They will have a family. Then they will have another children, right? They will. So that's why they multiply. But it doesn't mean that Adam and Eve only have a son, Cain and Abel and Seth. They have many children. Imagine if you're a woman, every year you have a one child. How many is that? Because Adam and Eve they live very long, and their children also live, right? Adam and Cain and Abel, they grow also, right? So it's very complex, but that's how I believe it happened. Yeah. 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 Incest, yeah.
There was no incest. Diba? God didn't give instructions before the law. So before the law, there was no incest. The race was pure. The bloodline, the DNA was pure. It was more different. But after the law, or the giving of the law, that's when instructions came that we were not to covet another wife and all these other things. So I'm not sure exactly where, but there were other races in the world as well. Like anyway, I can't answer that. So
Yeah, remember the brother Richard, you say something? Yeah, Solomon was, it was already in human government the time. God allowed it, but he didn't say, you're gonna get the, what do you call this?
Solomon, there was a difference there. God gave instructions to Solomon,
Yeah.
and Solomon was disobedient to the instructions of
Yeah.
God. And so as a result of that, that's why he suffered.
Yeah, yeah, he get the consequences of what he did.
He even was told not to take wives of foreign nations
Nation, yeah.
because it would draw his heart away from God. But he did it. He rebelled, right? And he suffered the consequences.
Okay, one more. So how about, you know, the wife, turned salt?
Oh, Abraham? Lot's?
Lot's wife.
Yeah.
So they have two daughters.
Yeah, yeah.
When I was young, my Sunday school teacher said the father with the daughter, that's why they multiplied because God burned the Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah,
So I was wondering before, like, maybe Sodom and Gomorrah is one city, right?
yeah.
And then when they run away, maybe they met someone that
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Because remember, you told me it only happened in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? How about the other country? How about city? See, there are people living during that time. Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, so that's why. That's the other city. Yeah, yeah. So they will get their husband
It's not true that the father make his daughter get
pregnant.
pregnant and then they multiply.
Yeah, do during that time. Yeah, yeah. Huh? Shem. Yeah, remember Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Yeah, from Abraham. Yeah. There is a book, what do you call this? Map chart from Adam and Eve. It's a long chart around from there up to the 24 feet. So, you will see the genealogy what happened to the earth, but it took a long time. So it did not just happen. When we tell you about the Bible, you think it's only happened in 1 day or 1 week or 1 month. Actually, it took times, eh? And so it happened. There's a big period. Remember, in the Old Testament, up to the New Testament, there were 500 years of silence. Imagine, 500 years before the New Testament began. So we think when we read the Bible, we thought, oh, it's only happened after a month. The New Testament was there. So it's nice studying this. That's why I want to study history, because you have a lot of questions and then you can find the answer with the help of Brother Hudson and Pastor Henry and the Bible. You can research some of Bible scholar. That's a good, interesting thing.
When Lot went to Sodom and Gomorrah,
Yeah,
obviously there were people there.
yeah, yeah.
Where did they come
From
from?
Abraham? Mesopotamia. Yeah, Lot.
Is the nephew of
Yeah,
So my point is, just going along with Sister Leslie,
yeah.
there could be other offspring. There's a time period.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You can't say when these things.
So when they go to Sodom and Gomorrah, there are already people there, right? In Sodom and Gomorrah. So they came from the Ham, Shem, and Japheth, right? From the tribes. So how about the Filipino? Where do we came from? The Filipino. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The Ammonites. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. The Moabites. Oh, from that, that's true, yeah. Introduce people, yeah. So that, yeah, if you want to know the Filipino, you know, they try to get the genealogy of Shem, Ham, and Japhet, you know. And you will, huh? Yeah. Ken Ham, yeah, Ken Ham is good about genealogy, you know. So remember when you're making a sandwich, it was ham is always in the middle, you know. You get the joke? Shem, Ham, and Japhet. So every time you make a sandwich, Ham is in the middle. Oh, Shem, Ham, and Japhet. So that's where the Jewish people came from, Shem, you know. Ham, you know, the Muslim came, the Arabs, the Arab nation. And yeah, so it's a long study, you know, it's a long study about genealogy. So we will study that. That's a one subject we need to study. So in verse 5, and the Lord came down to see the city and the tower. So the Lord himself came down, which the children of men build. Nimrod, probably Nimrod, yeah? So men may live without God now, but one day there is going to be an inspection of our life's work. So God is going to come down to this earth again, second coming of Christ. He is going to see with all seeing eyes. He will examine the ledger book of our lives, all of us, even me, even the pastor, even the elders and the deacon. So Jesus said, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Matthew 6:33. So, again, he said, this is for us, lay not up for yourself treasure upon earth, where moth and rust does rot, do corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal, but lay up for yourself treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there is your heart be also. Matthew, can you put it Matthew 6:19-21? Matthew 6. So here, probably we are all doing these things, eh? Do not lay up yourself treasure on earth, where moth and rot destroy. Pero yun ang ginagawa natin, we are laying up treasure. About 9:20. But lay up for yourself treasure in heaven, where neither moth or rust destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. So, for where your treasure is, there is your heart will be also. So if you keep laying up your treasure on earth, you're making a lot of money, making up big houses and buying a lot of cars or whatever is you spend for your flesh, for yourself. This is nothing. This is only you're wasting up your time. But if you're laying up your treasure for your Bible study, you're doing, you know, for the glory of God, you are servicing the Lord, this is counted, right? I'm not the one going to judge. It's God. God will also judge me, my family, and all of us. So, let me ask you today, where is your treasure now? Is your treasure in the bank of the earth or in the bank of heaven? Amen. So, God is coming one day to inspect our work. So, what did God do to the builder of Tower of Babel? So, I hope you know the story, so it might not be hard for me to explain everything. So, in verse 7 and 8, can you plus that? Genesis. Go to, let us go down, and there compounded their languages, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from hence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. So we come to the end of this third dispensation. And again, it is picture of man's failure and God's judgment. So even the Tower of Babel, there already a judgment for them. Now we will go to the Port? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they multiply. Yeah, 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 they multiply. So, is that clear? We're now going to the port dispensation, uh, which is, you can find that in Promise, Genesis 12:1. Now the Lord had said to Abram, get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. So Abraham was in the land of Ur, right? Uh, the land of Ur was an idolatry country. You know, they worship idols. So God tell Abraham to get out of that country. So if Abraham stayed there, he might not be. He might become an idolater too, just like his father. So they call it dispensation of promise. It started with the call of Abraham. It continued through the lives of the patriarch, the prophets, and ended with the exodus of the Jewish people from Egypt, from the time of Moses. So mahabang panahon din yun, no? It's a long journey. This just happened in a couple of days or couple of months. Long years. It took about 430 years. Imagine, from call to Abraham up to Moses. And during this dispensation, God developed a great nation that He has chosen as His people. So the basic promise during the dispensation of promise was the Abrahamic covenant. So if you want to know what does that's a different subject again. Abrahamic covenant. Here are some of the, I think, what God promises to Abraham. It's an unconditional covenant. When it says unconditional, it doesn't mean anything Abraham should do, you know. It is God. It's unconditional. It's God's covenant. So from Abraham would come a great nation that God would bless with natural and spiritual prosperity. So God would make Abraham name great. Abraham. So now there is three religion claiming to be Abraham's, you know, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So how many people are there? How many billion of people are there? They claim to be the descendant of Abraham. So not only three nations, I think the three religion, right? Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They claim to be descendant of Abraham. So God would bless those that bless Abraham, descendant, and curse those who curse them. So in Abraham, all the families of the earth will be blessed. Kasama na tayo doon, kasama na Pilipino. This is fulfilled in Jesus Christ and His work of salvation. So, what is the sign of covenant during that time? You might think it's very horrible. It says circumcision. You know, circumcision, that's a sign. Or how about today? No, it's a medical sign now. Medical, you know, the children are being circumcised. So, this covenant, which was repeated to Isaac and Jacob, is confined to the Hebrew people and the 12 tribe of Israel, which is still existing for today, up to today, right? So, when you hear what's happening in Israel, that took time, a long time. You may go back to history, so you will know the reason why are they fighting over there. What the kind of these people? They are only fighting for oil, for a piece of land. But actually, there's more. There's more to learn. It's about God, religion, politics. Everything is over there. Yeah. God, religion, politics, history, land. Everything is over there. Remember, the Garden of Eden started in the Middle East, and the war will all end in the Garden of in the Middle East. Is that a coincidence? Do you think it's a coincidence? See, God must be saying something. You know, you focus on these things. So the fifth dispensation is called the law. Where are we now? Yeah, Exodus 19, the whole chapter, and chapter 23, the law. So it lasted about 1,500 years. From Exodus until it was suspended after Christ's death. So it took a lot of time, right? 1,500. So this dispensation will continue during the 1,000 year, the millennium. So law, grace, and millennium, it will continue on. Sometimes they overlap. Sometimes you might say, I don't have I will not say this end over here and this start over here. So they might overlap. So the 1,000 year with some modification during the dispensation of the law, the 10 Commandments, and that there are more than the 10 Commandments are there, but there are ceremonial law, civic law, there's more. You know, when you study the ceremonial law, civil law, moral law, you know, there are, imagine 600 plus moral law. Can you memorize all of them? That's why the Jewish people, you know, sometimes they know, oh, I'm doing this for the Lord, and the other one is doing this for the Lord. But because the law, the moral law, civil law, it took a lot of time. It's, a lot of 600, imagine 600 plus, yeah, I think. So you will take a lot of time. I'm getting a sign over there, so we'll just stop our Bible study. I hope you come next Sunday so we continue again. Thank you for coming. Can you close, Brother Norito?